This is Sebastian Vettel Martinez for Fight Club Rush. I'm joined here by GK Nyland, who faces Rahmads Stromanis at Fight Club Rush 8 on March 6th, only on UFC Fight Pass. All right, so GK, we are reunited now after some technical difficulties the first time we tried doing this. So let's try and run some of this stuff back. I mentioned before that I'd seen you come and play the spoiler against Samuel Bark at Wolf Fight Promotion in Halmstad. You were not a big fan of that performance, but you took the fight on short notice and you were forced to meet increasingly tougher weight demands. Now you're back playing spoiler again against another hometown hero, and I guess you're trying to follow in the footsteps of a true Vikings then, of your real ancestors.
Yeah, that's the goal. But you forgot my middle name though, I'm just half Viking. My father's from Cyprus. That's my name is Cemsoylu.
Cemsoylu. Okay, there we go. See, you just have all the names.
Yeah, I have all the names.
Yeah, that's usually my job. The one with the longest, most complicated names, where people like forget this and that. But yeah, whatever. So that's one thing that you've trumped me on, without a doubt. So looking at Rahmads Stromanis, we talked about him a little bit before. Tough, hard-nosed guy, pressure. Head down, guard up, goes forward. How do you feel you match up against him, and what would you say is your biggest advantages?
Like I said earlier, I feel like a pressure fighter is a very good fighter for me. A lot of my fights earlier in the amateur has been a pressure fighters, and I've always been nearly the underdog. So I'm used to that, and I think that I already have a lot of fights against pressure fighters. I think that's a good advantage already, So I have already this experience from it. So he looks strong. He has a good cardio and everything. But I think we will have a very good fight together. I'm strong too. I have long arms, a small head, some harder to hit, So yeah.
All right, good point. I was wondering, I commentated on one of his fights, I believe last year, where he suffered a pretty devastating knockout. And I feel like, maybe you as his opponent might have been looking at looking at that fight specifically to maybe find some holes in his game. Did you see that fight, and did you maybe take some inspiration from it?
Yeah, of course. But you know what? I think he's a smart guy. So I guess he's been working on it, like people often say that, like, you don't lose, you learn. And of course it's easy to say, but you know what? I think he learned from that. I don't think he will go the same way as he did then. So I guess his guard is better on that side. So I don't know. Let's see.
Well, I guess you'll have to test it to find out.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, we talked a little bit about experience before. You're not necessarily an established name in Sweden, but you had, some impressive amateur fights, competing in the 2015 European Championships. You've fought Jack Shore, who has gone on to do some great things in Cage Warriors and the UFC. And you've also got your first pro fights already taken care of. How much of a difference do you think that will make? Not just your very many amateur fights, but the fact that you have this first pro fight out of the way, all the nerves and adrenaline of, a pro fight, you've already felt what it's like. How much of a difference do you think that's going to make? You know
what? I actually had more adrenaline in amateur fights than in that pro fight. Yeah, man. And I also remember one amateur fight. I think it was like my 4th or 5th fight. I don't remember anything. And that's strange because I was in good shape and everything, but I don't remember anything. All I remember is that I nearly had to crawl out the cage because I didn't have blood in my legs. But so adrenaline and all that, it depends. It can come whenever. But I feel like, of course, it's all in the head. To control your nerves, to make it something positive, like. But of course, anything can happen. It's MMA fights.
Yeah, very good point. I mean, obviously, you've been through a lot in your career. You've had, very many amateur fights, which I think is something that illustrates why a lot of Scandinavian fighters tend to do well. Is that they do a lot more amateur fights than a lot of other countries do as well.
Yeah, I agree.
And so what would you say?
Also in the European, I fucking had 5 fights in 4 days.
Yeah.
You know, and when I fought against Jack Shore, I couldn't like stretch out my arm. So I remember we had to do like ice baths and stuff to stretch, because I nearly, I think it was the semifinal. I got caught in an arm bar, and I wouldn't tap because I knew I won the fight. So that was like, I don't know, something happened in my arm, but I couldn't stretch it out. So yeah, of course I had many fights, and amateur it has a lot to say to get the experience and also control of the adrenaline and all that. So yeah, I agree with you.
Unfortunately, I only had a chance to see your fight against Samuel Buck with my own eyes, which you said was one of your worst fights. But how would you describe your fighting style to somebody who's seeing you for the first time now on Fight Club Rush 8?
You know, I don't know myself what my fighting style is.
You're still figuring it out?
It's because I've been changing a lot, you know. I had injuries, I had to do like other stances, other techniques. So I always been changing. And also I remember when I started my MMA career, everyone was like, take him down. Of course I knew that, because when they search my name on YouTube, it's only Thai boxing fights. So I did a lot of grappling and wrestling. So I actually finished most of my fights on the ground then, you know. So I don't know. I'm an all-round fighter. I can do anything, you know. Sometimes I feel like I'm strong in wrestling. I'm strong against the cage. I'm strong on the ground, in guard. So I feel like I'm an all-round fighter. And to be a MMA fighter, that's the way to go. You know, you have some fighters that's very good in wrestling, so they dominate there, but they're boring, man. You have to have everything, you know. So I don't know. That's how I would describe myself. I can do anything.
So GK is the whole package.
GK is the whole package.
All right, I like it. Sounds like an Instagram quote right there. Wrapping things up then, first Scandinavian martial arts promotion ever to debut on UFC Fight Pass, the biggest martial arts streaming platform in the world. What can fight fans expect from your bout with Rahmads Stromanis?
Our fight would be, I think it would be a very good technical and maybe a good war. Anything can happen, man. He's a very strong fighter. He's a pressure fighter. I'm a very strong fighter, so anything can happen. So expect fireworks.
Fireworks in the Fight Club Rush cage. I'm sure that is exactly what the fans want and hope for, and I'm sure we're going to get it as well. GK, thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to your fight, and good luck at training tonight.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Yes, we will.